Hey guys, Anthony Woodruff here, and today we're going to talk about Spotify integration into the major DJ software. Now, I get it. I get the fact that Spotify is basically like Pioneer. It's the industry standard. And somehow people think that, hey, this is only going to cost me 10 euros a month. I think now it's like 12 euros a month or something like that. But the bottom line is let's just address from the perspective of the copyright holder and why no artist particularly likes Spotify, but we sort of kind of have to use it. It's a bit like all social media, which is exactly what I'm doing. We'd rather not do it because we'd rather concentrate on what we're doing, but we got to do it because otherwise you don't get seen. And that's basically where we are with Spotify. Everyone seems to have Spotify. And when you talk about Tidal, Pandora, Apple Music or Amazon Music, and even YouTube as well, the bottom line is Spotify is just across the board. And the vast majority of people using Spotify really don't care whether the artist gets 50 cent per stream, 1 cent, third of a cent, only a tenth of a cent. And this is the irony that I find talking with a DJ yesterday, where he said, yeah, but I use Spotify and that's great because like now I don't have to send a subscription to Tidal to be able to use my DJ software, and I don't have to go across to Apple and the integration's not quite so correct. I'm just really happy about that. And I personally think it's really not a good solution. And quite frankly, the solution that we had with Tidal was fine, and of course there's like a monopoly behind it, and that's why Apple wanted a bit of the cake. So they said like, yeah, sure, we can integrate this into your DJ software as well. And of course the trend also, especially from a wedding DJ perspective, is that since basically 2016, it's very, very, very hard to be able to go through a night without somebody coming to you, showing their phone in your face and saying, can you play this? As if it's like some sort of command. In fact, you're lucky if it's can you play this or do you take requests and things like that. But the bottom line is this: Spotify is basically the lower denominator when it comes to royalty payouts to streaming artists. And it's not as if they're making an absolute fortune. Yeah, sure, we've got like the major top artists, and of course they get millions of views, and so therefore they get, no, not millions, they get a few thousands. And let's put this into perspective. You buy a track on iTunes, the copyright holder gets 70 cents from €1.29. Now, to get the same amount by using Tidal, which pays about 1.2 cents per stream, that means to say it's going to be something like about 58 streams in order for them to make that 70 cents. Spotify, on the other hand, means to say that that track has to be played about 350 times in order for them to make that 70 cents. That's a lot of streams when we start increasing to, should we say, how it used to be, should we say, when I was a kid, when I would go out to the record store and buy a record. Artists were paid a bit more money because records cost a bit more money. Now it seems like music is fundamental in our lives, yet nobody wants to pay for it. And everyone seems to think that this is on their phone, and so therefore it's like, well, I've got everything and that's my music collection. I've got my playlists and that's my music collection. But it's not your music collection, because you stop paying it, you've got no playlists anymore. You've got no music. There's nothing physical. You can't touch it. But anyway, back to our DJ software. All we're doing with Spotify, and ultimately with the other ones as well, is we're appeasing to pop culture. And that is that wedding couple or a birthday person or whatever it is has set up a playlist in Spotify and they want to send it to you. Email worked previously. Now everyone's sending Spotify playlists because Spotify is the market. And so for DJs, they go, oh, this is great. And all the marketing behind it is, this is going to change the DJ industry. This is world changing. This is amazing. This is fantastic that Spotify is now finally on DJ stuff. And yet it doesn't do stems. You can't make playlists from it, can't analyze files. And that's everything that you can do in Tidal. But unfortunately, as a DJ, you've got to pay 20 euros a month for that, more or less. And Apple and Spotify are half the price. Now, one could say the irony behind that is I'm already making money from somebody else's creativity, and I am so obsessed with what I do and what I earn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that artist from earning as much money as they possibly can from me playing their music. That's basically what you're doing with Spotify. You have a choice. You can go to Tidal and they'll get 1 cent for a stream. Not that that's a particularly a lot of money. And it's going to cost you, what's it going to be? 240 euros a year. You can use Spotify, which will cost you 120, 130 euros a year. And they get, okay, they're going to get, you're using premium, so therefore they're going to get 1/3 of a cent, and that's if you play the track all the way through. For some reason, I think there's a kind of a mismatch there, certain element of irony that's involved. So no, Spotify is not a game changer. If anything, it's Spotify again, should we say, infesting the music industry and effectively just pushing everything down as usual to the lowest denominator.